Have you ever used spiritual practices like affirmations or chanting or creating a vision statement or even a vision board in order to manifest or attract something into your life, whether it's a relationship or money or success or something like that? Well, using spiritual practice to satisfy egoic desires is one of the hidden dangers of New Age spirituality. And we're going to talk about that today. So stay tuned because we're going to look at how spiritual materialism has become normalized in New Age spirituality. I'm Lisa Engles-WITTER, and welcome to my channel where I help spiritual seekers just like you to get non-New Agey answers to deep spiritual questions. So be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I put out new videos every week, and also be sure to click on that notifications bell so that you get notified every time a new video comes out. All right, so we're going to dive into this idea or this concept of spiritual materialism. And spiritual materialism is when we use spiritual practices to fulfill an egoic desire. And there's all types of courses and workshops being sold out there these days to spiritually attain those things that you want in your life. Everything from chanting sacred mantras to Lakshmi for abundance, or to Ganesh to remove your obstacles, to clearing your energy centers, right? Your chakras in order to bring in a new relationship into your life, or even certain types of guided meditations for success. Now, maybe you've even done some of these things yourself, and the problem really isn't in having these desires or longing for these particular things in your life. The problem lies in not looking at the deeper question, which is, why do you want what you want? So that's number one. And then number two issue with this is the misuse of spiritual practice for fulfilling egoic or selfish purposes. So let's look at this first problem. Now, maybe you want like a new job, or you want more money, or you want a particular type of relationship, or you want success. So that's what you focus on getting, right? And you do all your spiritual practice in order to focus on getting that thing. And in the New Age world, there's an abundance of courses, as I've already said, that you can enroll in order to manifest these types of things in your life. But we have to come back to this question: why is it that you want what it is that you want? If you ask yourself this question, you're going to discover sooner or later that when you boil it all down, what you really want is happiness. That's all you want. And this is something that the Dalai Lama talks about quite a bit and has even written a book on. So what we all want at the end of the day is happiness. We want to feel fulfilled. We want to feel happy. We want to feel peaceful. We want a sense of inner joy and calm. We want a sense of meaning and purpose when it all comes down to it. Now, you probably know all of this already because you are a spiritual seeker, and maybe you're even saying to yourself right now, well, yeah, Lisa, I already know all of that, and I know that I want to find my soulmate because I'll feel happier when I'm with my soulmate, or I'll feel fulfilled once I'm in this type of relationship. And that's where I need to point out the thinking error. Because the thinking error is that in thinking that these are the things that are going to bring us fulfillment, what we don't realize is that all of these things, money, success, fame, relationship, all of these things will actually decline in their ability to bring us a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction once we get them and we start enjoying them, because these things are impermanent. And that's basically the core teaching of all Eastern spiritual tradition, is that we can never find happiness in those things which are impermanent. So in chasing those things, or in desiring those things that are impermanent, we're doomed to experience dissatisfaction, unhappiness in the long run. In economics, there's a law called the law of diminishing marginal utility. And that law says this. It explains that once a person begins consuming or using the thing that they desire, the satisfaction that they derive from having that thing or that product will begin to wane. It'll begin to subside as they consume more and more of that thing. So let's just take a super simple example to make this really easy. You want a chocolate chip cookie, or maybe I want a chocolate chip cookie, right? So you go out to the store and you buy a package of chocolate chip cookies, and you get home and the first thing you do is you rip open that bag and you eat that first chocolate chip cookie, and that first chocolate chip cookie gives you a lot of satisfaction, a lot of happiness. It tastes so good. So what do? You eat another chocolate chip cookie, and then that chocolate chip cookie also gives you some satisfaction, maybe not quite as much satisfaction as that first chocolate chip cookie, but you still want more. So you eat a third chocolate chip cookie, and you're starting to notice that once you eat that third chocolate chip cookie, you're getting a little less satisfaction, a little less happiness, so to speak, from eating that chocolate chip cookie. But you go ahead and you eat a fourth chocolate chip cookie anyway, and by that time it's starting to feel like too much, like you've had too many chocolate chip cookies. You're done, you've reached your limit, and you just sort of put those chocolate chip cookies away because they're no longer giving you the satisfaction. Your satisfaction has been filled. You don't want it anymore, right? So satisfaction, what this law says, this law of diminishing marginal utility says, is that satisfaction from each additional unit of consumption will decline. So each time we eat another chocolate chip cookie, our satisfaction from eating that chocolate chip cookie will begin to decline. Now, in Eastern spiritual tradition, they'll say this is actually the true nature of all worldly desires, which is that, like I said earlier, we're doomed. Whenever we're grasping for worldly desires, we're going to be doomed in the end to being dissatisfied, because all of these things are impermanent. Money, people, activities, status, all of it is impermanent, and they're going to disappear at some point. And so your happiness or your sense of fulfillment will also disappear and will leave you wanting and desiring more all over again. You're going to feel like you need to fill that void. That void will constantly be there for you. And this is what we call suffering in Eastern spiritual tradition. All right, so to recap that, this first problem with using spiritual practice in order to manifest your desires is that if you focus on manifesting anything that's impermanent, then at some point, even if you've initially found happiness in that thing, if you've initially found some sense of fulfillment in that thing, at some point down the road, you'll eventually feel empty and wanting or desiring more. And these types of desires are considered to be egoic or self-centered, selfish desires, because we want them for ourselves versus wanting happiness for the greater good of the whole. Now let's take a look at this second problem of using spiritual practice for material gain. Now, the purpose of spiritual practice, if we're talking about yoga, which we are on my channel here, we're taking everything, we're looking at it from the perspective of yoga or Eastern spiritual tradition. And in Eastern spiritual tradition, particularly yoga, the purpose of spiritual practice is to awaken to the true nature of who we are and to the true nature of reality. When you awaken to the true you, you know who your true self is, you will experience a sense, a growing sense, and a prolonged sense of inner peace, calm, fulfillment, happiness, a sense of deeper meaning and purpose in your life. So spiritual practice is not meant to be used for selfish motives or material gain. That is actually a misuse of spiritual practice. So the problem is here that we have here is that spiritual materialism has become normalized in New Age spiritual communities. So you can go into any New Age bookstore and you're going to find tons of books on teaching you how to manifest nearly anything that you can think of. And you can manifest all of these things, these books will tell you, by using this particular spiritual practice or that particular spiritual practice. But most of these spiritual practices have actually been co-opted and reinterpreted from Eastern spiritual tradition. So again, spiritual practice is meant to be done in order to attain progress and knowledge of the truth of who you are and the true nature of reality. And when spiritual practice is done with this as your goal, then your happiness, your satisfaction will continue to increase, which is the exact opposite of pursuing impermanent and worldly things like money, wealth, success, even health or relationships. So to wrap this all up, what I want to say is that spiritual materialism is not only common, it's become, like I said, normalized in New Age spirituality, and it's a dangerous thing. What you need to realize is that your lasting happiness, your personal fulfillment is never going to come from attaining anything that's impermanent. So it's time for question of the day. What are your thoughts about spiritual materialism? Have you ever participated in spiritual materialism and maybe not known about it? Let me know in the comments below and we can have a conversation about this really important topic. And then finally, I want to just put it out there. If you're looking for some guidance in your spiritual practice, I invite you to come join me over in Facebook. I have a Facebook group over there called Spiritual Practice for Turbulent Times. The link is in the description below. I do 2 live sessions, spiritual practice, every week, and I'd love to have you join us if it's something that you think would help you in your journey, in your spiritual journey, and in your practice. So thank you so much for joining me in this video. Remember to like this video if you indeed liked it, comment below, and also be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Take care and namaste.